On a warm June night in 1994, Los Angeles police were called to a gruesome crime scene in the upscale neighborhood of Brentwood. Nicole Brown Simpson, the ex-wife of football legend O.J. Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman lay brutally murdered. The sight was shocking: bloodied bodies, chaos, and unanswered questions. Whispers spread quickly. Could America's beloved sports icon be a killer? The media sensed a story larger than life. Cameras flashed, headlines screamed, and the world leaned in closer. This wasn't just a murder case, it was about to become a courtroom circus. And at the center of it stood O.J. Simpson, a man adored by millions, now facing his darkest hour. The evidence against him seemed overwhelming. A bloody glove was discovered behind Simpson's mansion. Drops of blood connected him to the scene. His infamous white Ford Bronco became a moving symbol of guilt when he led police on a slow-speed chase through Los Angeles, watched live by 95 million viewers. America sat glued to their TVs, divided between disbelief and certainty. How could a man who ran through defenses on the football field now run from the law? For some, the case was clear. For others, doubt lingered. But everyone knew this was no ordinary trial. It was theater, history, and tragedy colliding all at once. The trial began in January 1995, instantly dubbed the trial of the century. Cameras rolled daily, turning court proceedings into primetime entertainment. Prosecutors painted O.J. as a jealous, abusive ex-husband driven to rage. The defense countered with claims of racial bias and police misconduct, questioning the credibility of evidence. And then came the line that would echo forever: "If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit." Defense lawyer Johnny Cochran delivered it with theatrical brilliance, pointing to a glove Simpson struggled to put on in court. The jury watched closely, and America gasped. Could this single moment decide it all? Decades later, another name began echoing through true crime headlines: Murdaugh, South Carolina, 2021. A wealthy, powerful family with deep roots in law, politics, and influence. But beneath the polished Southern charm lay secrets, scandals, and whispers of corruption. Alex Murdaugh, a prominent lawyer, was at the center. On June 7th, his wife Maggie and son Paul were found brutally murdered near their family estate. Once again, a story of privilege, wealth, and death gripped America. And people couldn't help but draw comparisons to O.J., two cases where power and influence collided with blood and crime. The Murdaugh case unfolded like a Southern Gothic tragedy. Paul had already been entangled in controversy, facing charges over a fatal boat crash that killed a young girl named Mallory Beach. The family name carried weight, often shielding them from consequences. But now, with Paul and Maggie dead, suspicion fell inward. Who could want them gone? Or more hauntingly, could it be one of their own? The crime scene was chilling. Two lives taken brutally, in the shadows of wealth and reputation. South Carolina was buzzing, but soon, the whole nation was watching. For Alex Murdaugh, the deaths marked the beginning of his unraveling. Investigators dug deeper into his life, peeling back layers of deceit. Financial crimes, embezzlement, insurance schemes, all began surfacing like bodies rising from dark water. The portrait of a respected lawyer crumbled into that of a desperate man cornered by lies. When police began connecting dots, suspicion grew. Had Alex killed his own wife and son to cover his spiraling secrets? The thought was almost unthinkable, yet chillingly plausible. Once again, America was hooked, watching another courtroom drama that felt too twisted to be real. Like O.J.'s trial, the Murdaugh saga became a media obsession. Cameras camped outside courthouses. True crime podcasts dissected every rumor. The family's century-old dominance in the South unraveled in real time. And in the middle of it all, Alex Murdaugh stood, his life falling apart piece by piece. The murder case, the financial scandals, the lies, all painted a man who would do anything to survive. The courtroom became theater once more, a place where truth wrestled with illusion. America loves its trials, but it also fears what they reveal about power, greed, and justice. The O.J. Simpson trial and the Murdaugh murders are separated by decades, yet they share the same DNA of intrigue. Both involve wealth, privilege, and a courtroom-turned stage. Both blur the line between justice and performance, and both leave haunting questions. Did the system deliver truth, or did it merely deliver a verdict? The power of these stories lies not just in their facts, but in how they force us to confront uncomfortable realities. That justice is not always blind, that the courtroom is not always about truth, and that, in America, some trials never truly end. The O.J. Simpson case left a scar on America's justice system. Long after the verdict, books, interviews, and documentaries kept the debate alive. Civil court later found O.J. liable for the deaths of Nicole and Ron, awarding millions in damages to their families. Still, the criminal acquittal stood untouchable. The glove, the chase, the verdict, it all lived on in public memory. For some, it was proof of a broken system. For others, it was vindication in the face of systemic bias. Either way, the case redefined how the world viewed justice, celebrity, and the truth. Meanwhile, the Murdaugh story revealed its own labyrinth of corruption. As police dug deeper, financial crimes spilled into the light. Alex had stolen millions from clients, even exploiting settlements meant for vulnerable victims. The empire his family built over a century was collapsing under the weight of his lies. Insurance schemes, staged accidents, and fake payouts all came to the surface. Like O.J., Alex's reputation shielded him for years, until the murders forced the world to pay attention. It wasn't just about one crime anymore. It was about decades of hidden rot. The court case against Alex Murdaugh became a Southern drama soaked in betrayal. Prosecutors alleged he killed Maggie and Paul to cover his financial crimes, a desperate act to gain sympathy and stall discovery. The defense countered, painting Alex as a grieving husband and father wrongly accused. But the evidence told a different story: cell phone data, ballistics, and Alex's own shifting alibis. Witnesses recalled his strange behavior, his lies unraveling under pressure. Each day in court peeled back more secrets. And just like O.J., Alex's trial became more than a case. It was a spectacle. The Murdaugh trial echoed O.J.'s in one haunting way. The nation couldn't look away. Every twist was dissected online, on podcasts, in newsrooms. It wasn't just about truth anymore, it was about perception. Could a powerful man once again bend the system in his favor? Or would this time be different? The contrast was striking. Where O.J. had a dream team of lawyers, Alex fought against evidence stacked high. Where O.J. walked free, Alex faced a legal avalanche. Yet both cases reminded America of a chilling truth. Justice is never just about facts. The jury in Alex Murdaugh's case listened to weeks of testimony. They heard about his financial betrayals, his lies, his attempts to manipulate. They saw the evidence, the timeline, the brutality of the crime scene. And when the verdict came in March 2023, the outcome stunned few. Guilty on all counts, Alex Murdaugh was sentenced to life in prison for the murders of his wife and son. Unlike O.J., he would not walk free. But the echoes of their cases lived side by side, haunting reflections of power, lies, and the fragility of truth. What made these cases unforgettable wasn't just the crimes. It was what they revealed about America. The public may never know the full truth of O.J.'s case. The public may still wonder about every twist in Alex's downfall. But both stories remind us that crime does not just happen in shadows. It often lives under bright lights, where the whole world watches and judges. In the end, these trials live on not just as legal battles but as cautionary tales. They warn us about power unchecked, about justice distorted, about how far people will go to protect themselves. The glove that didn't fit, the boat crash that spiraled into murder, the chase, the lies, all are threads in America's true crime tapestry. And as long as the nation hungers for stories of downfall, these names will echo: O.J. Simpson, Alex Murdaugh. Two men, two trials, two legacies that show how fragile justice can be, and how unforgettable crime becomes when it collides with fame.